שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד ישמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם לא תפארת בלי תהילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Please rise in the ways that you're able and face the entrance. Boi ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Shem kevod malchuto, leolam va'ed. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto, leolam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem emet.
V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivanu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivanu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivanu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rab lehoshia, Morid hatah. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh holim, Umatir asurim, Umechayeh emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidon melach, Melech memid umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yihallelu selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Oseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
This Shabbat, I want to share with you a story that you may have heard before, but it's a classic for a reason, so we're going to tell it again, just as we tell the stories of the Torah over and over and over again, and they give us new meaning each time. This story is a Jewish folk tale that has been given the title in this particular book, How Could It Be Worse? A question we might have asked ourselves at some points in our lives, at some points when we get really stressed out, we think to ourselves, how could something get even worse than this? And so we tell the story. Once upon a time, in a village far away, there was a couple, Miriam and Samuel, who lived with their 7 children in a one-room house. Next to the house was a little barn where they kept a cow and a donkey and a goat and some chickens. And Miriam and Samuel loved their children dearly. But, as you can imagine, 7 children and your partner in a one-room house might begin to feel a little crowded. And so you'd have 2 children over here bickering about, well, it was my turn to stand on that chair, and it was my turn to hold that doll. And then over here would be this baby who was crying, and over here would be this toddler who was just learning to walk and starting to run around and would run into things, as happens when there's, 7, really 9 people in a one-room house. And they started to get a little overwhelmed, and they thought it was too noisy. And Esther was playing the flute, and Elisheva was singing, tra-la-la-la, and Abigail was jumping rope, swish, 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 and Sarah was tossing jacks on the floor, which, as we might imagine, is very uncomfortable to step on. And when you're throwing things on the floor, those chances just rise, and Yehuda is bouncing his ball on the floor, and David and Joseph were studying all day and were singing along, die, die, yenu, die, die, yenu, die, die, yenu, die, yenu, die, yenu, die, yenu. And if you do that over and over again, at a certain point, you're going to start to go a little crazy. And so one day, Samuel turned to his wife and said, listen, I love everybody in this household, but I do not know how we are going to get through this. What are we going to do? I'm going crazy. And Miriam suggested, let's go speak to the rabbi. Perhaps he'll have an answer. In this case, there's a male rabbi, if you can imagine. That evening, Samuel and Miriam knocked on the rabbi's door. "Please come in," said the rabbi. "Have some tea and tell me about your problem." "Our home is too noisy, by far," Samuel complained. And Miriam added, "Listen, our children are very good and we love them so much, but the noise is just too much. And with 9 of us in one room, we are feeling incredibly crowded." And so the rabbi sat and pondered and stroked his chin. You can decide for yourself if you imagine him with a beard or not. And finally, he said, "Aha, I have an answer. I know just what you should do." Miriam and Samuel said, "Okay, what should we do, Rabbi?" And the rabbi said, "You know that cow that's in the shed next to your house?" "Yes, what about it, Rabbi?" "Bring the cow into your house." "What?" gasped Miriam. "Are you sure?" "Quite sure," said the rabbi. And so Miriam and Samuel figured this rabbi might be a smart guy, so we should try it, I guess. And so they brought the cow into the house. "Moo," said the cow. And Esther tweeted, "Tra-la-la," and Elisheva, "Tra-la-la," and Abigail swooshed, and Sarah clacked, and Yehuda boomed, and David and Joseph chanted, "Die-die-yenu, die-die-yenu, die-die-yenu, die-yenu, die-yenu." "Oh my God," groaned Miriam and Samuel. "I don't know what the rabbi was expecting, but this does not seem any better." And so the next day, they went back to the rabbi. "Rabbi, Rabbi," they cried as they knocked on the door, and he finally opened, and they said, "Rabbi, the noise is worse than before." "Trust me," said the rabbi. "I have a part 2 to this plan." "Okay, if you say so, Rabbi." "Okay," the rabbi said. "Now, you know that donkey that is also in the shed next to your house?" They said, "Yes." "Please don't ask us to do what I think you're about to ask us to do." The rabbi said, "I don't know what it is that you are thinking I'm going to ask you to do, but you should bring the donkey inside the house with the cow and your 7 children and your partner and yourself." And so they did as the rabbi said. And so in the house they heard hee-haw, hee-haw from the donkey, and moo, said the cow. And Esther tweeted on her flute, "Do-do-do-do," and Elisheva tra-la-la-la, and Abigail swooshed, and Sarah clacked, and Yehuda boomed, and David and Joseph chanted, "Die-die-yenu, die-die-yenu, die-die-yenu, die-yenu, die-yenu." And Miriam and Samuel thought they were going crazy. They just had no idea what they were going to do. And so back to the rabbi they went, and the rabbi said, "Things are proceeding exactly according to plan. I'm so glad that things are working out this way." They said, "What do you mean we're so glad that that this is working out this way?" And so he said, "Now, bring your goat into the house too." And so they figured, okay, if this is going according to plan, maybe this is the last step, and then everything will seem normal. And so they decided that they were going to bring the goat inside the house. And so in the middle of the night, after everyone was all asleep, after it had finally gotten quiet, they started hearing, "Ba, ba, ba," which then woke up the donkey, who went, "Hee-haw, hee-haw," which then woke up the cow, which went, correct. And all of the family got up, and they were making all of their noises, and Miriam and Samuel were at a loss. They were like, "I just want to fall asleep. What are we going to do?" And so Miriam said, let's go back to the rabbi 2 more times tops. 2 more times tops. And so they went back to the rabbi and they said, Rabbi, I know it's the middle of the night, but this is going crazy. This is just, I don't know what we're going to do. This is just getting worse and worse and worse. And the rabbi said, I have just 2 more steps and then we'll be ready. And they said, oh no, I know what's coming next. And the rabbi said, bring in the chickens. And so they went home and it was still the middle of the night and they were like, okay, I don't know what we're going to do. But the chickens started bark, 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 all over the house, which woke up the goat who said, ba, ba, which then woke up the donkey, which said, yee-yaw, yee-yaw, which then woke up the cow that said, moo. And so on and so on, and they couldn't even last the rest of the night. They turned right back around and went back to that rabbi and said, Rabbi, what are we going to do? And then the rabbi said, this is all according to plan, and what I need you to do now is remove the chickens and the goats and the donkey, and the cow. And they immediately did exactly that. And all of a sudden, the house felt so big. Oh my gosh, they didn't have to worry about tripping over the chickens or getting the goat off of the counter who kept on trying to steal their food. And they didn't have to worry about the cow, which was always in the way somehow. Somehow it was both over here, and then they turned around here, and it was over here as well. And they didn't have to worry about the donkey as well, who was getting a little kicky, and oh my gosh, what were they going to do? And all of a sudden, their house felt so spacious. And they decided to look at their children and to look at one another. And instead of saying, how could it get any worse than this? They said, how lucky we are. How lucky we are to have one another. How lucky we are to have this roof over our heads. And how lucky we are to have such a beautiful family. And so, as we go into Shabbat, may we too find the opportunity for perspective. Our lives have hard things. Having 9 children in a 9 people in a 1-room house can get overwhelming. Having whatever it is in our lives can get overwhelming. I don't know what's going on in your life. You don't know what's going on in the person next to you's life. But life can get overwhelming. And we can acknowledge that overwhelm and still create space for gratitude. And may we each find opportunities to express that gratitude as well. Keni Hiratzon, may this be God's will.
Hevenu Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem, Hevenu Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.